Welcome back to Threads of History. Today we're asking a provocative question. Did Rome ever actually fall? Or are we all still living in the Roman Empire right now? You might think that's ridiculous. Rome fell in 476 AD, right? Everyone knows that. Today we're tracing the thread from ancient Rome, through Constantinople, through the Renaissance, all the way to the modern Western world. And by the end, I think you'll agree, Rome never fell. It just evolved. Let's start with a test. Pop quiz. Which of these is Roman? Or this? Trick question. They both are. Look around the Western world. You'll find countries with senates, buildings called capitals, Latin mottos on everything, legal systems based on Roman law, republican ideals, architectural columns everywhere, nations that believe they have a duty to bring order to the world. Are you Roman? If all of that sounds familiar, it's because the Western world is Roman, not metaphorically. Actually, Roman. Rome never fell. It just moved east. The West forgot. And then we remembered. And once we remembered, we became Roman again. More Roman than we'd been in 1,000 years. This is that story. 476 CE, the year Rome supposedly fell. The Western Roman Empire collapsed. The last emperor was deposed. Barbarian kingdoms carved up Italy, Gaul, Hispania, Britain. History books call this the Fall of Rome. But here's what they often skip. Rome didn't fall. It moved. The Eastern Roman Empire, what we call Byzantium, continued for another 1,000 years, and they never stopped calling themselves Roman. Their emperor was the Roman emperor. Their capital, Constantinople, was the new Rome. They spoke Greek, yes, but they governed under Roman law, maintained Roman administration, preserved Roman engineering and knowledge. For a millennium, while Western Europe stumbled through the Dark Ages, the Roman Empire thrived in the East. They just did it in Greek. Meanwhile, in the West, someone else claimed the title. 800 CE. Pope Leo III crowns Charlemagne Emperor of the Romans, a Frankish king crowned in Rome, claiming to restore the Western Roman Empire, the Holy Roman Empire. As Voltaire later quipped, it was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire, but it believed it was Roman. For 1,000 years, Germanic emperors claimed direct succession from Augustus and Constantine. So now there were two Romes, the Greek-speaking Romans in Constantinople who never fell, and the German-speaking Romans in Central Europe who claimed to be restored Rome. Both said they were the Roman Empire. Both were partly right, but the irony, while both claimed to be Roman, Western Europe was forgetting what Rome actually was. Despite the Holy Roman Empire's claims, actual Roman knowledge vanished in the West. People lived in Roman ruins and didn't know what they were. Farmers grazed sheep in collapsed amphitheatres. Roman roads crumbled because no one remembered how to maintain them. Aqueducts became mysterious ancient bridges. The Latin text survived, locked away in monasteries, but they weren't being read. Roman engineering manuals gathered dust. Cicero's political philosophy was forgotten. The architectural principles that built the Pantheon were lost. Medieval Europe built Romanesque and Gothic cathedrals, beautiful but nothing like Rome. They'd forgotten how to make concrete, how to engineer domes, how to design cities. But in Constantinople, the flame still burned. Byzantine scholars still read Plato in Greek, still studied Roman law, still copied ancient manuscripts. The West had forgotten it was Roman. The East was about to remind them. May 29th, 1453, Constantinople falls to the Ottoman Turks. The last Roman emperor, Constantine XI, dies defending the walls. After 1,480 years, the Roman Empire finally actually ends. But Byzantine scholars flee west, carrying something precious: books. Ancient Roman and Greek texts the West hadn't seen in centuries. Complete works of Plato and Aristotle, Roman legal codes, engineering manuals, mathematical treatises, histories of the Republic, Cicero's speeches, Vitruvius on architecture. They arrive in Italy, and Italy wakes up. Italian humanists start reading these texts and realize, wait, we used to be Roman. We used to build like this, think like this, govern like this. We used to be sophisticated, powerful, organized. The Renaissance rebirth wasn't just an artistic movement. It was Europe remembering it was Roman. Suddenly, Italy is building with domes and columns again, studying Roman engineering, reading Roman philosophy, adopting Roman aesthetic principles, and it spreads. Florence, Rome, Venice, then north, France, England, the German states, Spain. Europe is becoming Roman again, not because an empire forced them, because they read the books and thought, this is brilliant. We should do this. But here's the question. Why Rome? Other ancient empires existed. Persia governed a massive multicultural territory. China had sophisticated bureaucracy. Why did Renaissance Europe specifically revive Rome? Persia and China were impressive empires, vast, organized, administratively sophisticated. But for Renaissance Europeans building Atlantic empires, these examples were unusable, too foreign. Different writing systems, Arabic script, Chinese characters. Different religions, Zoroastrianism, Islam, Confucianism, different philosophical foundations. Europeans couldn't read these texts, didn't understand these systems, couldn't adapt these models to their context. But Rome was theirs. The texts were in Latin, which educated Europeans could read. The ruins were literally in their cities. The legal concepts translated directly. The architectural principles were visible everywhere. Rome was the blueprint they could actually use. So what was Rome, really? Let's be clear. Rome was built on military conquest, millions enslaved, cities sacked, rebellions crushed without mercy. The Pax Romana, the Roman peace, wasn't the absence of war. It was the absence of anyone strong enough to challenge Rome. But here's what made Rome's model brilliant. Rome didn't just conquer and leave. Rome conquered, then integrated. Submit to Roman authority, accept Roman law, and you could become Roman. Not ethnically. Roman citizenship eventually extended to Gauls, Iberians, Africans, Greeks. You could rise through the ranks. Your city could get aqueducts and roads. Your sons could join the legions and become officers. The formula was elegant. Overwhelming military force plus administrative genius plus standardized law equals lasting stability. Conquer decisively, then govern systematically. Build infrastructure that makes the empire valuable to be part of. Create laws that apply equally across provinces. Offer citizenship and advancement to local elites. That's how you turn enemies into provinces and provinces into partners. That's how Rome lasted centuries while other empires collapsed within generations. And here's why Renaissance Europeans cared. They were building empires. Spain, Portugal, Britain, France, the Netherlands, all conquering globally. Africa, Asia, the Americas. They were encountering vastly different cultures and facing Rome's exact problem. How do you govern millions of people who don't speak your language, don't share your religion, don't want to be ruled by you? Constant military suppression is expensive and unstable. You can't garrison every village forever. Rome had already solved this 1,500 years ago. They left a manual. Britain studied that manual carefully. Military conquest established control. India, Africa, Ireland, dozens of territories taken by force. Then came the Roman formula. British law, British administration, infrastructure, railways connecting the empire, ports facilitating trade, telegraph lines enabling communication. Local elites educated at British schools, integrated into the colonial government. Pax Britannica. Like Pax Romana, it didn't mean peace everywhere. It meant British naval supremacy was so overwhelming that major wars stopped. Trade flourished under British protection. The Royal Navy, like the Roman legions, made challenging the system too costly. And look at what Britain built. Roman-style columns on government buildings from Calcutta to Cape Town. Latin mottos on everything. Legal systems based on Roman precedent. A Senate, House of Lords. The conscious styling of the British Empire as Rome reborn. America took the model even further. The Founding Fathers weren't just inspired by Rome, they were obsessed with it. They read Cicero, Plutarch, Livy. They studied the Roman Republic's rise and fall, trying to build a republic that wouldn't become a tyranny. Look at Washington, D.C. It's not subtle. The Capitol building, named after Rome's Capitoline Hill, the Senate, Latin everywhere, e pluribus unum, annuit coeptis, novus ordo seclorum. The Supreme Court looks like a Roman temple. The Lincoln Memorial is literally a Greek/Roman temple. And America followed the Roman playbook, westward expansion through military conquest, then integration. Territories becoming states, infrastructure connecting the continent, railroads, highways, telegraph and telephone networks. After World War II, the American model went global. Military bases on every continent, over 750 of them, just like Roman legions stationed in every province. Pax Americana. American military supremacy so overwhelming that major wars between great powers stopped. International trade flourishing under American protection. A rules-based international order, with America writing the rules. The Roman model at work. Rome. Conquer. Pacify. Integrate. Look at the aqueducts we built. Britain. Conquer. Pacify. Integrate. Look at the railways we built. America. Projection of power. Stabilize. Integrate. Look at the prosperity we brought. Same formula, same justifications, same belief that their system is superior and should be universal. Rome showed that military power plus effective governance creates longevity. Britain learned that, America learned that. That's not coincidence. That's reading the Roman manual and applying it. So here's the uncomfortable question. What about the modern Western world isn't Roman? Is it democracy? Rome had that for 500 years in the Republic. The Senate, literally named after the Roman institution. America has the Senate. Rome had the Senate. Same concept. Military bases everywhere. Rome stationed legions in every province from Britain to Mesopotamia. The belief that the Western system should be universal. That's pure Roman thinking. Rome believed Roman civilization was superior and should spread everywhere. The combination of military power and administrative excellence, that's the Roman formula, perfected over centuries. The legal systems based on precedent and contract law, Rome invented that. The infrastructure obsession, Roman roads and aqueducts 2,000 years later are still marvels. Modern nations do the same. Republican government with checks and balances. Rome designed that system, even the complexity, the gap between ideals and reality between republic and empire. Rome struggled with that too. The Roman Republic became an empire while still calling itself a republic. Sound familiar? Rome figured out how empires actually work. Not through endless conquest alone, but through conquest followed by integration. Not through suppression alone, but through creating a system people wanted to join, or at least accepted as beneficial. Britain studied that model. America studied that model. They both built systems using Roman principles because those principles work. So are we living in the Roman Empire? Political Rome ended in Constantinople in 1453, but cultural Rome, the ideas, the systems, the architecture, the laws, the very concept of how to organise large-scale civilization, that never ended. It went dormant in the West for 1,000 years. Byzantium kept it alive. Then in 1453, when Constantinople fell, it brought the flame back west. The Renaissance happened, and Europe remembered it was Roman, and then Europe exported Roman civilization globally, first through European empires, then through American global leadership. Maybe the only thing that's not Roman about the modern West is that we're uncomfortable calling ourselves an empire at all. We prefer global leadership or international order. But Rome would recognize what we've built. They'd see the senates, the capitals, the global military presence, the legal systems, the infrastructure projects, the claim to be spreading civilization. They'd see themselves. Rome didn't fall. It just became the blueprint everyone else followed. And we followed it so well, we forgot we were following anything at all. We're not living in the shadow of Rome. We're living in Rome. We always have been. We just stopped noticing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Rome's hidden continuation, give it a like and subscribe to Threads of History for more videos exploring the long arcs of history. Drop a comment and let me know. What do you think is the most Roman thing about the modern world? See you in the next video.